Oh my goodness, Mobile 1.4 is our next stop. Who would have thought? More on that in a second. I'm referring of course to the May State of the Game update released this week by Loki, in which Mobile Terraria is discussed among other things, but we'll get to Mobile Terraria in just a second. Let's start with the work being done by Pipeworks Studios on the console editions of Terraria. Loki had this to write. We are happy to report that the fixes for Xbox One and PlayStation 4 1.3.5 have arrived. What all does this include? Let's check them out. And he provided the following list of fixes for Xbox One and PlayStation 4 Terraria. Nothing overly exciting, but if you have one of those editions, you probably did want to hear that. In terms of more exciting news, though, moving to the hybrid console, the Nintendo Switch, Terraria 1.3.5 is here. And they provided this image, which is a good little timeline of what's been added. They jumped straight, apparently, from a much earlier version of Terraria all the way to 1.3.5. So whether it's mobile or console, they're moving by leaps and bounds. They're not just trickling these content updates out. Now I think this Switch update image really conveys that by showing all these different updates that are bundled into one. But enough about what I have to say. What did Loki have to say? Well, he wrote the following. The 1.3.5 version of Terraria for Switch launches today for Terrarians everywhere. Desert revamp, party events, Old One's army, it's all here. This took a bit longer than we had hoped, but it really paid off in some extra performance improvements that the team were able to get pushed in. We are actively monitoring for bug reports, etc., so be sure to share your feedback. For full details, check out our launch thread below. And I'll include a launch thread link in the video description below. For those Terrarians who are playing on Switch, you might want to check it out. Sounds like they've been doing great work for the Switch version of Terraria. But onto what a lot of you are probably curious about, I began the video with a reference to Mobile 1.4. And while it's not here yet, apparently they're going to be skipping over a lot of other incremental patches and instead going straight to Mobile 1.4. We'll get to that in just a second. Let's hear what Loki had to write. Hello everyone. Last we left you, we had just released the controller plus customization update fixes, and then we've been pretty quiet since then. What have we been doing the past few weeks, you ask? Oh, just working on a little thing called Journey's End. And they shared this video. It's not a very long video, certainly, but it's a video of Terraria Journey's End in action for a mobile device. So let's take a look at this. And it is weird. I know it's a relatively new piece of content for any version of Terraria, but it is a little weird seeing that version 1.4 next to or on a phone screen. So weird in a good way, of course. Anyway, this is the video they shared. I'll link to the actual video if you want to see it in its pure form rather than this little preview in my video. So that'll be in the video description also. And for this, they had to write, that's right, Terrarians, we're going to be making the quantum leap all the way from 1.3.0.7 to 1.4 with your next content update on mobile. 5 years of updates in one big update. There's still a long road ahead and a lot yet to get done, especially in regards to user interface, optimizations, and more. But we couldn't help but share our excitement and the news sooner versus later. We will have more tidbits and progress reports and spoilers to share along our own path to Journey's End, so stay tuned for that. And this was followed up by this image, which shows a lot of the features of Terraria 1.4, obviously in the mobile format. We see that the trees are moving with the wind. It's not an animation, but you can tell just how they're positioned, that they're affected by the wind. And this is, of course, an oasis mini biome, which is new to 1.4 also. Looks like a new item being held by the player. And of course, if you look in the clouds, you'll see there's a little goldfish in the clouds. So that's certainly one of the new features for Terraria 1.4. Little kind of gimmicky clouds thrown in there just for color and variety. So all in all, very cool image. Good to see that they've, if not quite finished it, they've gone a long way into implementing the 1.4 features, so it's clearly well on its way. They continued, as for timing, we don't have an exact time frame to give you just yet, but we will the instant that we do. Until next time. So that's exciting news if you're a mobile Terrarian. It's never good to be left out in the cold when something like Journey's End is released. They've said, of course, before that Journey's End will make it out to mobile devices before the year is out. And judging by what they're showing us in this recent update, I can believe it because it's looking good, right? It looks good, so they've made good progress in the past. They've got a good track record. I'm confident that they'll make that 2020 deadline. So good news all around. Anyway, when it comes to the PC, they didn't really have much to say. They actually wrote, "Why are you reading this instead of playing Journey's End? We cannot believe the level of support we are seeing since release. 4th highest peak in Steam players ever? Just wow. Oh, you want an update on what we're doing now? Okay, fine." And they included this submit your bug report here feature, saying that the Relogic team is hard at work on bug finding and fixing. Help us in our mission by checking out the Journey's End hotfix changelog thread linked below, and by using the bug report button above to share any new issues. And so, those of you who have experienced issues with the PC release of Journey's End, if it hasn't been fixed, you've got an outlet where you can help the developers kind of iron out all the kinks that are still left in the game. When it comes to what's left, well, they refer to the T-Mod loader, which is of course the mod system that they've bundled with Journey's End, and for that they write, the Relogic team does not directly develop TML, so referring to T-Mod loader. So bugs with TML are best reported via the links below. And I'll include a link to the State of the Game post so that all of these links are available for all you folks if you want to kind of pore over the details. Anyway, they conclude with what's next after the hot fixes are done and the madness has calmed down. Well, we have a few things we would like to get into a 1.4.1 update, including the Vanity Contest winners, soundtrack update, and more. Stay tuned for more there. And I can tell you that Redigit himself has said that it might be a few months before 1.4.1 update gets released. And I have to imagine not only do they really want to make sure it's done when it gets out, but they might have a few ideas they've been stewing over for just minor additions to the Journey's End update. So that might be why there's going to be such a delay for what on its face looks like a relatively minor patch. And then as for the rest of the State of the Game post, really there wasn't much else. Evidently there's more Terraria merchandise, and so if you're a fan of games merchandise, I'll include, as I said, a link to the State of the Game post so that you can go over that. Things like new posters, pins, shirts, all that good stuff. So if you're a super fan, there you have it. There's also mention of a Terraria 10th anniversary plan in place. The game came out in 2011, so the 10th anniversary is going to be next year. May 16th of next year specifically. And so if you're curious about the community's plans for a 10th anniversary, there's some details in the official post. I won't go over all of that. I feel it would be just tacked on to this video. The real purpose of this video is just to let you know how much work they've been doing. Not only do we have Journey's End this month, but they've released 1.3.5 for Switch. So it's almost completely caught up now with PC. It sounds like all the consoles are going to get Journey's End at some point. They are playing that fairly close to the vest. And they've been a little more liberal with their release date for mobile 1.4. Journey's End by the end of the year. And again, we've seen it in action. We've got that lovely screenshot. All in all, a much meatier state of the game than I was expecting. I really hadn't gotten my hopes up for much this month with all the focus being on the PC release. But it seems that they didn't really let anyone down, did they? So good stuff all around. Hats off to Pipeworks, DR Studios, and of course the Relogic teams for all of the excellent work. And of course to the community for really spurring them on with all of your support. They seem to be really blown away by the amount of enthusiasm you've all demonstrated for Terraria. As they say, on the Steam numbers, they're just crushing it. They're making a lot of sales. They're seeing a lot of people play the game, and I'm sure it's no different for console or mobile either, so great. Anyway, that's it for this month. It sounds like there'll be more spoilers along the way, so I'll keep an eye out for that, and I will see you in future videos. Thanks for watching, everyone.